You're listening to the AfterBuzz TV Network, now the largest new media platform on the web, and your #1 source for after-show entertainment.
Very good, Gene Johnson.
From the AfterBuzz Studios in Los Angeles, California, presented by Maria Menounos and streaming live thanks to Akamai Technologies, it's AfterBuzz TV's Californication After Show. We'll break down tonight's episode and get you all the latest news and gossip. And now, another post-game wrap-up show for your favorite TV show. It's AfterBuzz TV's Californication After Show.
Welcome, ladies and gentlemen, to another Californication season. Season 7, the final season. So good to be here. Stephen Lemieux and Roxy Stryer are missing from tonight's episode, but joining me for this season, I have Andreas.
What's up, guys? Newcomer. Excited to be working on Californication. And it was an exciting episode to work on for sure. First episode of the season, Season 7. Where has the time gone? Seriously.
Now, before we talk about tonight's episode, episode 1 called Levon, what made you specifically fall in love with Californication? Just a little brief history from
All right,
fans.
a little bio, a little background about how I fell in love with the show. First of all, I was a big fan of David Duchovny, X-Files, and so forth. And I moved out to LA 4 years ago. And when I first moved to LA, I knew nothing about LA. I found a place on Craigslist, didn't know anything about Venice Beach, Abbot Kinney, anything like that. And my roommate at the time, he's like, you want to catch up on LA? He's like, watch this show, Californication. It was, I think, in its 3rd season at the time. Sat down, watched all 3 seasons, fell in love with the show, fell in love with this character. And I think it's like, Hank Moody, David Duchovny's character, is like every man's dream. He's a writer. He's very good looking, go with the ladies, and he's living the life. He's got, nice Porsche, living in a cool area, and he seems like he has everything kind of together. And he's kind of like, I said, living the California dream. So I fell in love with the show because of that, and I've been a fan ever since. So I'm just excited to be able to talk about it now.
Well, that's what, you hit on a lot of points in terms of why I initially fell in love with it. And I think, he leads the lifestyle you want to lead, but it's not quite perfect. And you as a fan know that, but you can't help but fall in love with it. And for me, it being on season 7, I never understood how we could continue this. And yet every season they bring it. And tonight, they definitely brought it. We were a little nervous, perhaps, as fans of how they're going to do this final season, but they got right into it. Before we get into the sort of meatier stuff of tonight's episode, let's talk about Marcy and Runkle. They're always fun.
Yeah, Marcy's character, I swear to God, she brings it. I feel like she brings it every episode. Those two are kind of like, I would say, the comedic relief of the show, and it's funny because you would think out of Stu and Runkle, I think Runkle's the better looking of the two characters, and he's the agent, and you'd think he would have a little more game than what he showed in this episode.
But his confidence is completely shot. Here's the thing. Remember, he gets put into these so awkward positions. I remember the one time, I forget what she was, but she used to read scripts for her job. I think she was like an assistant to an agent. And while he's having sex with her, she's just reading or catching up on emails, because if you don't keep up, you fall behind.
Oh, yeah, for sure.
And it's just experiences like that that have just shot his confidence.
It's true. I think he needs to get hypnotized or something. He needs a sexual therapist, or they need to do some couples counseling to reignite whatever is going on in the bed, because it's not happening. And I thought one of the funnier parts of the episode was when they got back from the honeymoon. Obviously, nothing worked as planned. I mean, you're going on a honeymoon, you're expecting to spend most of your time in the bedroom, and it seemed like everything just wasn't going according to plan. And it was funny because Stu, when he saw Stu in this episode and they're sitting together for the meeting, he said, "Don't rub it in." He's like, "What do you mean?" He's like, "Yeah, I know what Marcy's like when she goes on honeymoons. We didn't leave the room for 10 days. And I think that's really shot at his ego too. And obviously Stu is hung like a horse. So he's hung like a horse, and he's got stamina, 10 days, and then Runkle just came back from a honeymoon, and he can't even get it up. So I feel bad for his character. His ego's shot at this point.
I feel, and it's just one of those unfortunate things where I think if he just overcomes this hurdle, he's all of a sudden going to become because he slept with 100 women. We have to give him that credit.
Yeah, because
that was his goal.
Yeah, he did. That is a huge feat, and he accomplished that. And was that one season he accomplished that in?
Wait, yeah, it was from it was from season 4 to season 5, I believe.
Okay, so obviously numbers don't equate to confidence for men, I guess. You would think
But they should.
They should. I mean, the fact that he slept with over 100 women.
Unless he's sleeping with fatties, no offense to.
Yeah. I mean, he's not a chubby chaser, though. We saw the women that he was sleeping with, and they're the 7s and above. So he's bringing he's getting a lot of them, probably a lot because he's an agent. That's another thing. Like when you're an agent in Los Angeles and you have a card and you're working for a reputable company and you have some reputable clients, it's not hard to get laid. So I mean, maybe he's insecure because he thinks the only reason he is getting laid is because he does have that business card. But
with Marcy, that's not the case. Like she wants the runk. She wants the little ninja, as she called it.
Yeah. That was what did she say? I'm a little ninja on the bed or something. A
little baby ninja.
Baby ninja. Yeah.
I thought, and it just got, and it's one thing to have to like kind of go where like you have to. The only thing that you can do to please your woman is to chow box.
That was
and then to cry.
Yeah, that was funny. So obviously, you got some issues when your girlfriend, significant other is trying to go down and you can't get an erection. So that sucks.
We thought it was going to lead to some weird threesome and like.
Oh yeah, before that, yeah, that's what totally I thought. Because I asked you, I was like, have they had a threesome before? Because it doesn't seem like too far stretch for them to experiment with that. Especially, both of them seem like pretty open sexually. So the beginning of that scene, I think we all had that same feeling. Probably the viewers did too. They're probably all gonna, start the episode off, or start the season off with a menage a trois. It didn't go that way. Maybe Frank would have brought something to the table that could have helped out his buddy, Charlie, but he could have assisted. But no, they ended up together, just Charlie and Marcy, and he had to go down and chow on some box. And unfortunately, he cried. I don't know why you would cry. I don't know. That's his character, though. He does weird things.
He does. I mean, but remember that one season where Hank had his girl and Runkle? They were both like in the same bed. Like
yeah.
I feel like Hank could get him like if they were in the room together, Hank could get his confidence up. But you don't want.
I don't know though, because Hank is like the Casanova, the Don Juan of the show. So I don't know. Do you think he would help with his confidence? I feel like
because it's Marcy, I think he would. Although Marcy in her own weird sexual way would probably like because of.
I think Marcy might have. I could see this happening. This would be funny in an episode. So they do try to experience the menage a trois, and I could see Marcy and Moody hitting it off, and then I could see Charlie in the back crying because they don't want him to participate in the festivities. That seems like something that his character would do. He'd be in the corner just like sobbing because I feel like Hank, can bring a lot more to the table than Charlie can. So I don't know. I think that would be a funny episode, but I don't know what that would do with the relationship, friendship-wise.
I think that they're just so beyond anything that, anything that would help Runkle's confidence is a go.
Probably ordering a Cosmo is not going to help with his masculinity and his confidence. He needs to order a different drink. I think that's funny. Well, that was one of the first things, the first times we see Charlie, Runkles this season, is him in a bar ordering a Cosmo.
Yeah.
So I think he just needs to get a whiskey in the rocks and grow some hair on his chest and man up. I hope everything works out for him in this season because he's kind of like, he's a sad little puppy that I feel like is getting kicked around.
Well, that's always been Runkle. So moving on to Hank now. Obviously, that was always going to be the big thing. We were left with the big cliffhanger last year of, okay, he knocks on the door. Yeah. And we got that little snippet of what it should have been in Hank's mind. And obviously, as soon as I saw the door closing, we were like, okay, it's just a dream.
Yeah, I was naive enough to believe like that's actually what was happening for a second, and then we both realized the lighting and everything. It's like no way, that's way too good to be true.
Well, when she grabbed this might have been a little too late in the game, but as soon as she went to grab his ass, I was like, okay.
Yeah,
not
right away. Those two, I swear to God, they always end up gravitating. I think she forgives him for way too many things. Like obviously, she's been basically, he's done everything you can do wrong in a relationship, and it seems like every time she sees him, she's still bright-eyed like a little girl, like who's still has a crush on this kid. In the
I liked his line of tonight. I mean, he's had so many over the years, but tonight where he said, you know, we're good people with bad timing.
Yeah.
And of course, we'll talk about the terrible timing even more so. But you know, I feel like looking back on their past, it's so true.
I think that happens a lot in relationships, period. I feel like two people who feel like they're soulmates, and for some reason, anytime one of them is ready to, you know, commit, the other one's not ready, and when the other one's ready to commit, the other one's not ready. So it's perfect. It basically sums up the relationship perfectly, the fact that timing for those two have never been right.
I mean, here's part of the problem. I feel like this is my take on love, and it's a terrible take.
Let's
I
hear
know.
it.
You know, when you get married, you kind of just more or less realize, like, hey, you can't do any better than me, and I can't do any better than you. And
Yeah.
that's it.
I mean, it's
Terrible view, I know.
No, it's not a bad view. It's a very honest view, and I appreciate that honesty. And I think, like, I don't want to upset anybody, but I feel like when you date someone, it's like, this sounds bad, but I think marriage is almost like giving up. It's like, I feel like this is the best I can do. And I know that sounds sad, and it's very, like, a pessimistic approach or theory or idea, but I feel like when two people end up together, I feel like they've given up on the dream, and I feel like they don't think they can do better than that. And I feel like the ones that haven't committed 100% and they're in a relationship, they haven't given up, because the relationship either ends up marriage, right? Relationship ends up two ways, marriage or breaking up. So they haven't accepted defeat yet, so they haven't gotten married, and they're keeping their options open in case they can upgrade to a newer
Well, that's what makes it so weird, is that Hank kind of had the upgrade with Faith,
yeah.
but he left her for Karen, and so I don't know. Theirs is a different story, perhaps.
Because Faith brought something else to the table that obviously he wasn't getting in that relationship. She was amused. She was exciting. She helped him out. She made him. It was like an adrenaline rush, almost like a drug. But at the end of the day, I feel like he knows Karen has been there since the beginning. Karen is the mother of his child, and they have a bond that he can never have with Faith unless he has a child. And I believe they were together before he was even, like, famous writer, famous anything.
Yeah.
So he's been there she's been there from the beginning. So it's an undeniable bond between those two. But it's still a very unhealthy relationship. And
I loved Hank's kind of comebacks towards Chris, the yoga guy.
oh yeah,
Because he's just such an asshole, and you know, she later on says during their second meeting, like, yeah, it was kind of unexpected. Like, of course,
yeah.
you know, like, Hank, you left her to be with Faith. Then what do you expect was gonna happen?
Yeah, Karen is gorgeous. Like, she's a prize, and she's not going to be single for long. Obviously, people are going to ask her out, go out with her, and stuff like that. So I think that character, Chris, the guy, the yoga master, was perfect, and I love the way he reacted to him. That's, like,
And he was so opposite of
perfect.
Hank.
Yeah, completely opposite. And I think she was a little amused by that whole interaction, because she wasn't getting very defensive. She wasn't really sticking up for Chris. I think she was amused, and that's probably why she likes Hank. She likes unfiltered, badass, doesn't give a shit about anything, and a lot of women like that. He's got that bad boy essence, and she's
I wish I could be that poetic. Kummis.
he's good. I mean,
First off, because like it's kind of it's not really an insult,
yeah.
but it is because it's funny.
You are what you eat, I guess. Yeah, the kummis. His cum probably tastes like hummus. It was funny. It works because he had that granola yoga essence to him, and you can't be mad at that. Here's the thing about Moody. Like, he can put you down, but it's in a way that you're not that offended by it. So if he came up to you and said that, it's like it's an insult, but it's not something that's going to make me hate you. It's kind of like entertaining. And I think that's what is great about his character, because he's so intelligent, and he has such a great way with words that he can say things and you can laugh at it and then think about, wow, he was actually offending me, or that was supposed to be offensive. So,
But like, okay, it's just Kummis funny, ridiculously funny.
and it's, yeah, that was perfect. He comes in with his yoga mat and his hemp shirt, and then he just owns it. I think that's his safe zone. Moody feels comfortable with Karen, regardless if she's on a date or not. He's gonna own it. He's an alpha male, and he knows what he wants, and he's good at getting what he wants. And I think a lot of that has to do with he's super intelligent, attractive, and he just doesn't give a shit. And
here's the problem, though, is speaking of the don't give a shit attitude. Now, right? He's supposed to be the hunter-gatherer, as he calls himself, which I find hilarious. Again, part of that poetic finesse to him. But because of all that, not necessarily his fault that he got fired by Atticus or Runkle, but if he's going to be the hunter-gatherer, he needs a job. And unfortunately, he's pissed off everybody.
Yeah,
except for TV.
He's burnt every bridge you could possibly burn in that town except the TV. And this episode, Hank's trying to reinvent himself so he could win back Karen. I feel like a big part of that is becoming the hunter-gatherer, and he's going to try to get a job in television, which is funny, because this episode probably offended a lot of TV writers. But it's kind of poking fun at themselves in the same way, because
it is, because ultimately they are. That's what they're doing.
Yeah, they're writing TV. But TV's so smart these days that it's not a bad...
Yeah, I mean, had that joke been made, like, let's say 10 years ago, then I could see people getting offended. But this is, as people say, the golden age of television. There's every week there's more good TV than there is in a year of film, probably.
100%. The writing is way better in television, in my opinion, especially cable shows and stuff like that. We have Mad Men, we have Californication, Game of Thrones, and stuff like that. So television writing is a lot better, I feel like, than mainstream TV, like Transformers 4 and stuff like that. So it's cool, though. He can sell himself, and he sold himself in the meeting. I
mean, that was a tough meeting. You know, and what I loved, finally we get to this kind of honest point. He gets he kind of not necessarily meets his match, but meets an equal, you know, someone he can kind of respect, vice versa. Because right off the bat, he's like, everyone get out, talent only, blah, blah. I'm not going to hire you.
Yeah.
And then, they're now, the playing field is level.
Yeah.
It's everyone has to be honest, and, and he just keeps, keeps going at him.
Yeah, he was berating him pretty hard. And it was funny because I'm on season 6 of The Sopranos, so I was able to recognize that guy. He played the son or one of the cousins on Sopranos. He has long hair now. He looks like a hippie. So it's weird seeing him killing people to having long hair and deciding whether he wants to hire.
Is he equally as? I mean, I've not really seen The Sopranos, but it seems like. Anxiety-wise, there's the same.
Oh yeah, same
he's
character.
Listening in on the conversations.
It's similar characters. I feel like a lot of actors, no matter what, they tend to. You see a little of themselves in almost every role, unless you're like a Daniel Day-Lewis or something, where you were like 100% method and you come and do one project every couple of years and you're like completely transform yourself. But a lot of characters, including like David Duchovny and stuff, you see a little of themselves, and I feel like that's probably him in real life. To a point, a little bit, kind of anxious, holding the cup up to the wall to try to listen in on people because he's a little, probably a little insecure or whatever, a little anxious. So yeah, I saw a lot of that character in The Sopranos as well.
And I feel like more again, kind of where they intersect is, Hank talks about being a writer from New York and kind of starting off there, and I think that was a point of where they could really bond. And I think that, again, I think the two of them will really
work together pretty
nice.
well. Yeah, I think they'll be able to make some television magic, hopefully.
Unless Hank, well, it looks like...
What was the name of the show? Cops Killer or something? Or
it was the spinoff to Santa Monica Cop.
Oh, Santa Monica Cop.
So I wonder if that cast is coming back. I mean, we know the director's there. Stu's obviously there.
Stu says, sold a messy late... Wait, he sold the messy late-term abortion. That was funny. They're all witty. They're like the writing's witty, but like it seems like all the characters have like really good one-liners. So always making me laugh.
And it fits them, It's not beyond because that's
they're all really smart people.
Stewart kind of embodies that for those. There was a Dustin Hoffman reference in this episode, but in a completely different way. But Wag the Dog. It's with stars with Dustin Hoffman, Dennis Leary, Robert De Niro, Willie Nelson, and just. The list goes on and on. Who's the guy from Hunger Games? Woody Harrelson. He's also in it.
Oh, I love Woody Harrelson.
But the point being, like, it just kind of resembles that type of producer, because Wag the Dog is about a Hollywood producer just producing just insane, stupid stuff that you'd never think
Yeah.
was producible. And he's like, oh, this is nothing, whatever, So, like, let's say one person died, and Stewart has that mentality, like, this is nothing. Okay, so we had a shit movie.
Yeah.
Now we're going to make a TV show out of it. Who cares?
I like that mentality. I feel like it's a good mentality. I think a lot of successful people kind of have that, because I think if you dwell on a past project that didn't work, you're just going to get stuck in a rudder. So I feel like Stu's just like, I had 9 bad projects, but you know what? I'm going to make a really good project. And
But in this way, I don't know how much he cares. There's people who can take a failed project and still keep the essence of it.
Yeah.
Whereas Stewart's like, okay, I have this.
This is
shit
kind of
project.
like a throwaway. Yeah.
Yeah, I got to do something with it. Why not make a shit TV show?
Yeah, and that kind of is him like laughing at, like, he obviously doesn't take the industry as serious. I think he thinks he might be a little above it, or he's like, you know what, I could sell a shitty project and still make money because these people don't know what good TV is. And it's like most of America is going to think this is great and this is going to be a hit show and ha 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 ha. I feel like.
Well, even so, I don't know. I think perhaps even if he could get one season, like, he's still going to, you know what I mean? I don't know.
He's still going to capitalize and make a lot of money.
So we'll see. But ironically, again, because Hank needs it, I think he could bring a lot to it. Or, in the preview, he's going to try to quit his job, which not a good move.
He's good at selling himself, though. I mean, I think he does a good job of that.
But again, like, his intentions are so noble.
Yeah.
But then you got to have the follow through, and you can't, again, we'll talk about predictions more specifically, but you can't all of a sudden then 2 days later be like, sorry, I got stuff going on, I got to quit.
Yeah. It's not so much that he wants to work. It's more that obviously he wants to be the hunter-gatherer, so Karen's going to take him back. So it's not so much he's excited to get working again and put pen on paper. I think it's more obviously he just wants to prove to Karen that he's not a loser and he can work and provide. And so we'll see how much he puts into this project. And
I think very little.
Yeah.
So speaking of the problem that's going to probably prevent them from
getting back together.
So from Project X, Costas.
Oh yeah, he gained a little weight.
He did. He put on some lbs. But he is 11, the college kid who wants to interview Hank, and this just took us by a storm.
Yeah, for sure. I was a little weary at first because he's supposed to be working for like we didn't really know what the project was, and he was a journalist, and he had really easy access. I'd be a little mad at my agent for setting up a meeting with someone who he doesn't really have that much background about him in the first place.
But they didn't set a meeting.
I guess he just kind of showed up. How did he find out where he lived?
I mean, I think, again, if knowing what we know, if you're a kid trying to find your father.
I guess, yeah. The motivation was there.
Yeah.
But, yeah, I think we're all kind of stunned by, that.
Well, at first, by the questions he was asking, you and I both thought, is he just trying to get laid? Yeah. And then he had that line about, like, I've never had a girlfriend.
Yeah, no, for sure. At first, I thought it was going to be like Hitch, where he's, like, looking to find somebody who can, a pickup artist or something who could help him with his game. Because at first I thought, okay, maybe he's a virgin. Maybe he wants to go and, like, be, like, Moody, hang out with Moody and have Moody be his wingman and help him show him the ropes, because he asked a lot of questions about his sex life and how he treated women. And so that's what I thought at first. I think you thought that at first as well. But then we find out that he's Frank's his daddy.
Yeah, no, I think even just before that, what I loved Hank's outlook is womanidity.
Oh, yeah, I made up a word.
Yeah, so I love that. But, yeah, and I guess it kind of makes sense why he was asking some of those questions. We'll obviously find out more, but to find out that as soon as he found out, that was like, because it wasn't explicitly said, but it was like, it happened about 9 months before I was born.
I think he did his homework.
Hank does the cigarette, and it's like, oh, I know what's up.
Yeah, that was a metaphor right there. That's what happens after you get effed. You light a cigarette, and I think he just realized he got effed. And everything was going according to plan for the most part in this episode. He came back. Karen seemed like she was a little more open to the possibility of them maybe getting back together. He showed that he was a hunter-gatherer, got a job, and then all of a sudden Levin shows up and just kind of just puts a wrench in his whole plan. So
But again, yeah, the tough part is you can't really blame the kid.
Yeah.
This is Hank. This is years of your work.
Yeah, I'm surprised this didn't happen earlier. I can't believe it took 7 seasons for somebody bastard child to
But
come out.
that's the great part, right? We're good
Yeah.
people with bad timing.
Yeah.
And he had bad timing enough because Karen and Hank were just kind of rekindling a little bit, and then he shows up for the meeting, which was obviously scheduled. But you could call that bad timing, but it's just bad timing in general. Of wow, in order to get Karen back, this is the last thing I need to be telling her.
It's kind of sad though, because he was interviewing him, trying to figure out what kind of person his father is, because this is somebody that hasn't been in his life for 20-something years. He's obviously a little older. Looks like he's a college kid. And the questions he's asking is basically trying to play catch-up for a father that was never there. So it'll be interesting to see what this guy's like and to see if, how Moody reacts to that and see if maybe he wants to
Yeah, because it's
embrace
like,
the
okay,
father
I
role.
want, you could go a couple of ways. I want you back in my life. You've been missing this long, so let's rekindle. Or 2, you've been out of my life, you a-hole.
Yeah.
Why did you do that? And then I guess there could be other options, but I just
Yeah,
can't
he
think
could
of them.
obviously be looking for questions like, why did you do this? What did my mom do wrong? What kind of person was my mom? Blah, blah, blah. Why'd you leave? Why, blah, blah, blah. Or he could just maybe be looking for a father figure in his life that has been absent for the last 20-something years. But him and Becca seem like a similar age, don't they? Becca's, how old is
Becca's just on the brink of college,
Okay.
but obviously she didn't go because now she's touring. She's having her freedom, so to
Yeah.
speak.
Yeah,
And
Becca.
he could be, I don't know if he's like a senior in college. We don't quite get what he is.
Yeah, we don't
but
get what age he is. I'm assuming he's in college, like a college student.
if I had to guess, I'm going to guess like a sophomore, maybe junior, not quite a senior.
Yeah, I don't know. It's going to be interesting to see how everybody reacts to that. But I think the way they ended that episode with him lighting a cigarette was the perfect ending to, I thought, pretty perfect season premiere. So,
Should we get into predictions?
yeah, let's do this.
And now, your AfterBuzz TV predictions.
All right. So I've been mentioning it, but because of Levin, Hank wants to. We get portions of the writers' room, so that's fun. But Hank wants to quit, and Runkle's obviously very angry because I'm sure he fought for him to get this job. And we see little bits of he's about to tell Karen now. That could be just a little snippet of something else that he's trying to tell her. But what are your thoughts?
As far as
Just anything.
anything, I don't know. It's hard to tell. I feel like Karen obviously is not going to take this well, because after everything she's been put through, him sleeping, like, these are things that she expects from him. There are certain things that she expects from him. Obviously, he's a player. He goes out and he has his way with women, and these are things that she knows are very fitting to his personality. But I think this might be the one thing that just like bring in another, like, because that was something that they shared together that she felt like it was a personal thing. He didn't share that with anything else. Like, obviously, this is a very personal, very intimate thing that they shared together. They shared a child together. Now, when she finds out that he actually shares a child with somebody else, this could be the tipping point. So I feel like she's going to react worse than she's reacted to anything else that he's done with him. He's done to her up to this point thus far. So it's not going to. I don't think it's going to end well for Moody at all. So I feel like
That's a good point. That is, that is a really, really good point. I'm going to get on that bandwagon. I'm going to make the easier prediction that Runkle and Marcy will continue their sexcapades, and I think Runkle's he's gonna battle through. I think he's gonna be the man that he needs to be.
I think to add on to that, I think Moody's probably going to get maybe help, because that's one thing Moody's really good at. He's very good in the sheet. So I think he's going to come to Charlie's aid and help him with that part of his life, the part that's missing. I mean, Charlie was able to get him a job temporarily, so I think he's going to help him reignite the sex life, and I think they might engage in a threesome this season. I don't think that's...
What do you think is gonna happen with Stu? Because I don't think Stu's going away.
I don't know. I feel like Stu's,
they have some sort of weird threesome?
I think Stu is possibly. Stu's a nice guy. Stu's hard to anger. And there's so many reasons why those two should not like each other and should hate each other, not be able to be in the same room together. But for some reason, they're able to get along for some weird reason. I feel like they like each other oddly, and they respect each other in a weird way. So I think that's a possibility too. I think before the end of this season, there's definitely going to be a threesome, whether it's between Stu or Moody. I don't know, but I think.
Fair enough. All right, and on that note, that ends episode 1 of the final season of Californication. In the meantime, let us know your opinions. Let us know your thoughts. Rate, comment, subscribe. We love hearing what you guys have to say. A lot of you guys during the hiatus, as we'll call it, caught up on a lot of Californication, left a lot of comments, so thank you. As I mentioned, Roxy Stryer will be back. She's at Coachella. She brings the musical aspect to the show because obviously it's so well intertwined with the show. And hey, during the hiatus, we developed an app, so download that. Just search AfterBuzz TV on iTunes to get the iPhone or iPad app, or if you have an Android, do the same thing on Google Play. In the meantime, where can they find you? You can find me on Instagram actually at Greek Casanova, Greek Casa Casanova, Greek Casanova on Instagram. I don't have a Twitter, I apologize. No worries. And follow us here on AfterBuzz TV on Facebook, Twitter, and Instagram. It's just AfterBuzz TV. So until next Sunday, thank you guys for listening. Thanks, guys.
From executive producers Maria Menounos, Kevin Undergaro, Phil Svitek, and the entire AfterBuzz TV staff, we would like to thank you for listening to the AfterBuzz TV network. To watch or listen to other after shows and post comments or questions, be sure to visit AfterBuzzTV.com. I'm Sir Richard Wentworth, and this has been a presentation of AfterBuzz TV.
Buzz you later.
The views expressed herein are those of the hosts only and do not necessarily reflect the views of AfterBuzz TV or its owners or principals.
Thank you for watching AfterBuzz TV on YouTube. For more of your favorite after shows and interviews, subscribe to our channel here, and be sure to share your opinion on the episode in the comment section below here. We'd love to see what you guys are buzzing about. Thanks again. Buzz you later.